were doing rock and roll, certainly hip hop, rap, all of that. There were places that those communities were welcome and where they found each other and they could be themselves. And so you had all of this artistic connection that was around music, that was around fun, that was around creating. And that's really what created the modern San Francisco. Everything that we have now, all of the communities that exist now, uh, really came out of that experience of folks who came here to be themselves and found each other and made things happen. And usually that started by meeting at night and making things happen at night.
Yeah, and like the Summer of Love, it was big, huge parties in. Yeah, the mic was blocking your face a little bit. So is he okay now?
I didn't even realize I was being filmed. I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good now.
Better?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like when the Summer of Love happened, Mark probably knows most about, but people came here that were against war, considered hippie type stuff, but it was like free love back then, all that. But I think people still come to San Francisco for different kinds of gender situations, different kinds of nightlife, like you were saying. And I think, I don't know, if there was some kind of marketing ploy, you could base it around Summer of Love 2. I mean, 100,000 people came at one time. It was crazy.
Wow.
Because it was a free place to be. And I don't know. We can get in more of that. Give me
Yeah, I mean, I
Paul.
agree with Matt 100%. I mean, San Francisco has always been known for music and counterculture and the arts and, from the 60s. I mean, my dad was actually here in 69. He actually saw Robert Kennedy speak. He gave a speech here, I guess, day before he was shot. But he was telling me about just how magical it was. Just the energy and the vibe and the culture. And I think that, I got here in 93, right? I came here to go to film school. And it just, blew my mind. It was I felt wow, I could really be myself here. I could be anything. Really, you could just reinvent yourself, just kind of the freedom and just the fashion and the nightlife was just mind-blowing, right? The kind of music, and of course, music is just, for me, has been what's fueled my entire journey, really, is that love of music. And just music has always been something that was it was like a drug. It's like food. It's like medicine. It's all of those things rolled in one, It's I'm just being in a song that you wanted to hear, just wanting to replay it over and over again. And when I came to San Francisco and I started to experience the nightlife and started going to raves, full moon parties, and all these different kinds of little secret things. You need get you have to meet at the checkpoint, and then they would take you to this little party. And, I mean, there was just so much
underground,
experimenting with drugs early on, and just it was just a magical time that I just was so inspired by, and just the culture that I saw, I think really just set me on my path. And San Francisco is just like a magical place. And I mean, this is my third. I mean, been 25 years, I've seen 3 different cycles now. This is the third time that we've seen, the boom, the bust, the boom, the bust. And, I'm excited for what's coming next. I really believe that we're on the verge of a new renaissance, right? And that the energy, the people, the type of people that come here, whether it was at the beginning during the gold rush, right? You have that pioneering, spirit of renegades. I feel like it's still here, and the last kind of shakeout is kind of it's good that some people left, right? But it makes room for other people to kind of come back. So, I mean, I think it makes room, so.
Yeah. And like me, you're part of infrastructure, and hearing about Oakland, that's huge. But infrastructure with Temple, I believe Temple was one of the most booming nightclubs prior to COVID. It was really going good. Infrastructure is part of it, but more to history, 70s. There's things that sparked. I mean, there's the beginning of thrash metal was in Berkeley, right? It came. Punk rock was very vibrant on Broadway, the Stone, Mabuhay Gardens, all these places, So 80s, the whole new wave movement happened. And then into hip hop as well. Huge West Coast hip hop in Oakland, overloaded into here. Every 5-10 years you had something booming, and I want to get to that in a little bit, which is what's now, you know what I mean? We haven't seen anything change. Hip hop's been in for a long time, holding strong, but we haven't seen anything new besides big festivals and stuff like that. But we'll get into that. But let's go to Mark.
If you want to do the history, it's
probably hard for people who are watching this video to understand there was no concert industry until Bill Graham started.
Yeah.
He came
Down
and
the green.
Bill Graham started. He did the first thing. He did 2 benefits for the San Francisco Mime Troupe, which is still going after 50 years, south of Market, and he got into the party scene. And the next thing you know, there were you're right. There's so many people that were sort of footloose in San Francisco. So he got first. I think he got Winterland, and then he got the Fillmore.
And that was right after the Summer of Love. People were here, but they're bored, and then
Yeah.
it moved forward. We're a
Yeah.
little stagnant right now, but go ahead.
But by the time I got here, which was 71, the Bill Graham, I was involved with Bill Graham on and off for years. Like, we were the biggest concessionaires on Lollapalooza, which was Bill Graham. But, going way back, he was just, he'd give out apples at the Fillmore Ballroom, and he'd bring in all these people. But by the time I got here, he was representing Santana. He was, it was a very Jefferson Starship, Airplane and Starship. But they were throwing free concerts in the park. There was all this activity. And I you can't forget the cheap real estate. San Francisco had sort of gone, had 74 was a major recession. So San Francisco had gone up and down, and when the hippies did this thing, a lot of the middle class moved out to the North Bay and left a lot of, literally you could get a 5-bedroom apartment, beautiful, at the top of Haight-Ashbury for, at the time, $400, which would be about, in today's dollars, probably $1,200, $1,500. 5 bedrooms. So it was younger people could afford to be in here, and the music scene was really pretty vibrant.
Oh, I mean, I could go through a list of clubs that were there at that time. That's the infrastructure part is, the Fillmore, Warfield, all of the places. I mean, a lot of them are gone. A lot of them are different things now. But that was that era. You know what I mean? That was for those kind of live bands. It was done there. Whoever's doing stuff, don't do it.
But I think that
Okay.
we had this solid structure when Bill was alive. I can't remember when Bill died, but it was like 79, I think. And the next generation, Live Nation buys Bill Graham. And the next generation, though, the Dawn Holidays and some of those people were still around, and they were still controlling a lot of the music, Hardly Strictly Bluegrass. That was all Bill Graham organization people. And a lot of the stuff way into past the 90s was like the second and third generation of Bill Graham. But people forget, like Toontown. I think that was like 89, 92. But they came out of London, and they were throwing parties down at the concourse. Huge $250,000 doors when it was $10 to get in. And it was a big rave scene, and the police were sort of, they didn't like nightlife for about 2/3 of my life.
Okay.
I've been fighting the police,
And we have some favorable government right now, I think, for entertainment, which is honestly, it's the first time I've seen it. Okay.
Yeah.
As being infrastructure people that, it's always been against us. And I think right now it's a breath of fresh air to have government that is supporting nightlife. So
I'm telling all my clients, this is some of the best era I've ever seen. I think this new mayor the word is out. Let's make this place.
I told you, Mike's off.
Let's bring some life back to the city, and the attitude of planning is much better. I think you need flexible licensing, and I think you need the city. Like, okay,
we're gonna get into all that. So, and you guys want to hit anything more about history? Any points that you think were valid that brought a big amount of people into San Francisco? I gave some examples. My examples are the Summer of Love, the porn industry coming in was huge for people. Bridge and Tunnel, all kinds of reasons. Punk rock, the rave culture.
The dead culture.
The dead culture,
If you look at the Well, that was
and
the first
hip hop.
ISP.
All of these things, were artist driven sparks that became huge things worldwide. I just haven't seen anything